Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are, and welcome to Mini Indie Game Reviews, a place where I'll be reviewing indie games that are quick, sweet, and straight to the point. Today we're going to be looking at the indie game known as Dyxnt, A Tale of Love, which is the first game that was developed by Somnium Games, a small team of 5 that formed back in 2014. Published through Pitchman Games, Dyxnt was released initially in 2018 for PC, and looks like it features some abilities that will be stripped for the version that we have now. But from that 2018 version, according to Steam, this game was recreated in 2021, which is actually the version that we're going to be reviewing today, of course for the PlayStation 4, so let's get into it. Dyxnt, A Tale of Love story is a simple one. It's about this illustrator that goes by the name of Adam, who draws these characters that take on a life of their own within his world. The two main characters for the most part is the protagonist that the player is going to be taking control of that goes by the name of the Nameless Hero, who for whatever reason decides to put his sword down and picks up a paintbrush. Accompanying him is another character that goes by the name of Aiko, somebody that the Nameless Hero cares deeply about, who is concerned about these birds, seeing as though something is hurting them. Actually, this is the whole entire reason why this adventure is even happening. While on their journey, there are certain hints that ties back to Adam's personal life, and is shared through these murals and emotional outbursts. Over time, both narratives of the Nameless Hero and Adam begins to serve somewhat as a metaphorical mirror towards each other. From a visual perspective, Dyxnt, A Tale of Love utilized this pen-drawn isometric style that is just amazing. At first glance, one could see that this game is nothing but a bunch of geometric shapes, which they wouldn't be wrong in deducing. However, it's how these designs are illustrated and how they're used that turns this world into a seemingly beautiful, breathing, and vast land, reminiscent of Eastern culture, or at least in the first half of the game. The subtle details within the animations like the running of water, items adhering to the laws of physics, and lastly, the movements of all the characters that you're going to be seeing is nice and smooth. Now let's talk about the shading techniques and the use of dimensional perspectives utilized to not only do the outlining of the figures, but to give more depth into what you're seeing. The only reason why I know anything about this is because my art teacher taught me about the technical skills illustrators use when he made us do these drawing exercises. Essentially, he wanted us to draw these shapes and everything we saw exactly from where we're sitting from. I'm not the best at it, but you get the point. Shout outs to my art teacher, Mr. Calloway from Fort Valley State University. Now, back to the review. Dyxnt begins to dive deeper within its visual prowess during the second half of the game, where the colors of the landscape dictates the theme or the type of environment the Nameless Hero is wandering around in. You have green representing the swamp, red representing desert, and black and white representing some otherworldly places. The utilization of such methods of representation may be simple but highly effective, almost to the point where the designs may give off the illusion of being complex. In this game's case, less is kinda more and accomplishes the goal in getting the viewer to understand what any illustrator will want their audience to comprehend. That is simply the idea and message that the artist is trying to get across. To put it simply, this is generally a puzzle platformer in many ways. The character you control has the ability to utilize this technique known as redraw, which is essentially giving you the ability to move specific objects to different desired locations for the sole purpose of solving obstacles. Throughout your journey, you're going to be hitting different switches, dragging and changing the position of objects in order to progress the game forward through these few chapters this game separates its levels in. Now for some of these puzzles, it will require thinking outside the box and can really put your mind to work, but that is all due to the great level design. Along with solving these puzzles, there are portraits that are hidden on each stage that can be found by hovering this magnifying glass over them. This is optional though and doesn't really do anything unless you just want to do this for completionist sake. The only criticism that I have towards this game is due to the isometric visual art style this game chooses to go with. Games that utilize this type of visual often comes off with a minor issue of comprehending how close objects are in correlation to each other. So in other words, trying to place objects could be a minor annoyance, but in this game, this issue doesn't rear its head too often. The sound design for this game is outstanding. Booting up this game, it gives the player a suggestion stating that this game is best experienced with sound. So in other words, turn your volume on so you can further immerse yourself within this game's worlds via its sound effects. And let me tell you, if you have somewhat of a surround sound system, you're in for a treat. This game just sounds beautiful. From hearing the environments emulating wildlife and other things just sounds lovely. Two of the biggest examples for me was hearing the serenity of hearing the flowing waters move, and the second, being one of the best examples of masterful sound design at work, was hearing the stones and pillars and steps move. Now, when this occurred, playing this game with the sound off, it wouldn't make much of a big deal because technically all you will see is just moving blocks. But with the sound on, you can clearly hear how massive and how heavy these things must be. So I strongly suggest you turn your volume on so you can have this game drown you within this world. Now, I can't go on without mentioning the only person that gives any means of providing verbal communication in this game, and that would be the artist, aka the narrator, which is voiced by Brian J. Olsen.
We meet the hero, but this one has no name. He left it behind him. The nameless hero focused on the final part of his training.
Mr. Olsen has done work for other big entities throughout various forms of radios, communication, and other ventures. You can check out some of his works, and I will provide links to his official website so you can see it for yourself.
Against all odds, the pair succeeded and pushed onward.
The music for Ink to Tell of Love was done by Lovro Golak and Lovro Vorkik, whom together goes up under the moniker Escort Music, along with contributions from Neville Loja. Within this game OST, I would describe the music heard as being atmospheric, relaxing, and also changes depending on what is going on narratively. I mean, I can put majority of these songs on and pretty much go to sleep peacefully. One of my favorite songs on the game's OST is a thoughtful and majestic song entitled We All Deserve a Happy Ending. Not only do I love the title of this song, but it's just, I don't know, it just kind of puts me in that mood that everything's gonna be okay. Not to mention, kind of makes me reflect on a whole lot of things. But that's just me. Majority of the music within this game OST would just come off as being somber. That is, until something happens and then it just becomes wondrous. The original soundtrack for Ink to Tell of Love is listenable via Escort SoundCloud and also purchased via Steam within this bundle that comes along with this game's art pieces. Links to where you can pick up a copy for yourself will be in the description below. With everything covered, I'm going to give this game a 7 out of 10. It executes its unique visuals with such detail, the gameplay lands its mark and provides challenging puzzles, and the story is simple but hits some unsuspecting turns that only adds more depth to the message that this game is trying to get across to the player. It's somewhat of a short game with little to replayability, however, it is in fact an enjoyable experience worth the price tag. From watching the videos of the original playthrough of the 2018 version and comparing it to the version that we have now, I can honestly say that this version is the best version for a multitude of reasons in some aspects. Although the 2018 version probably did a better job at having the player explore the artist's world and its surroundings a little bit more rather than just solely focusing on the world of the nameless hero. Ink to Tell of Love is now available for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Steam for PC, and Nintendo Switch for only $10. It's also available for Android and iOS for iPhones and iPads for only $4. But until next time, be safe out there, and peace y'all.
And don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit up that notification bell, and I gotta go.